All right, we're going to talk about the second portion of this here. And the second portion of this particular lab is talking a little bit about O-ring seals, and we're also going to be talking a little bit about lip seals. Okay, we have two double lip seals here. What does that mean? Well, there's two different lips on the inside of this shaft seal. They also call them oil seals, and there's different pressures and different things like that indicate the type of seal that you would want to use, and of course how it is actually configured. But let's look at some of the most common things that we have. Now, right here, we have an O-ring seal on this. This particular unit here is designed to go inside of we'll call it a tube, a barrel, whatever you want to call it, and seal for maybe some pressure, maybe even some oil between those two particular things. So, I mean, you can imagine having something like this. This would go in, and then of course there would be some compression on this, and that compression is going to not allow air and or oil and or water to get through that. All right, now, how do we service and how do we change it? Generally, this is really straightforward and simple. I'd like to use things that are rigid plastic if I can, so that I don't make any damage, but a small flat-headed screwdriver will work just well. And the whole objective would be to get this small screwdriver in between the material and the O-ring, trying not to actually stab that material itself. Stabbing it is going to create some kind of a cut, but by kind of prying it up a little bit and then working it around the surface, you can see that I've easily removed this O-ring. Okay. Now, again, if you actually take this sharp screwdriver and get into this a little too hard, you can create a cut, and then those cuts and those little that damage can actually make this thing no good. Now, if you're taking it off, chances are you're replacing it, so that's wonderful. But if you're not, then you're going to need to find a new one of these. Now, putting it back on, that oftentimes is that much easier. You can just basically put it down here. Sometimes if this groove is much farther away from that surface, you may have to start it on and kind of roll it in. But I like to kind of get an edge in there and then start to hold it with one hand and then work my thumb all the way around and pop that right back in. And I like to spin it too. And the reason I like to spin it is because it helps to straighten it out. So sometimes these things can kind of get twisted up. And by spinning it a little bit, it helps it find its normal state. Now, there are also instances to where you do have to install these O-rings on the interior. Essentially, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to use some kind of a prying device to get it out of the groove from the interior and work it out. And then likewise, fit this in and then work it around that interior ring in order to be able to reinstall that.